Well, more now on today's guest editor, the UK Chief Scout, Dwayne Field. Over the last 2 hours, you may have heard him talk about the value of volunteering, his experience of being homeless, his belief in the value of the great outdoors. We end all of these special programmes over the Christmas period with an interview with a guest editor, a chance to reflect on what they've seen and heard and why they wanted us to talk about the subjects they wanted us to focus on. When I spoke to Dwayne, I began by asking whether he'd use this programme not merely as Chief Scout, but really as Chief Ambassador for the young people involved in scouting.
Absolutely. I strongly and truly believe of scouting. And the power of scouting comes from the volunteers themselves. So for me, I couldn't guest edit without speaking about volunteering.
Now, you've told us some of your story as the programme's gone on, but people who don't know you may not know that that story begins, for the first few years at least, in Jamaica, a childhood which seems to combine real material poverty and yet great richness in life.
I love how you just put that, actually. I was a kid who had very little in the way of clothing. I didn't have toys. We didn't have electricity, gas, or running water in the house. In that sense, there was a lot of poverty. But when you talk about the joy, all I can think about was the freedom I had to roam and the freedom I had to explore the environment I was in, with the safety net of having someone who loved me that I could always run back to when I got bitten or stung or scratched by something.
And in a sense, when you talk to scout groups, when you talk to those volunteers, are you in a sense thinking, I want some of what I had as a child in Jamaica?
That's exactly it.
For kids in towns and cities in Britain.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I had the benefits of the outdoors and of adventures as a kid. So I know the benefits, and I want that for every other kid because I know it can have a real impact.
And your experience of coming to this country, what, age 6?
Yes. For me, it was shocking, actually. I remember driving from the airport and the sky was grey and it was raining. And I remember this like it was this morning. I ran through the house and I opened the curtains, expecting to see the woodlands and the trees and the forests. And there was nothing, just a concrete space. And for me, that was just a really devastating moment. I think I fell into struggle to fit in for a very, very long time. We don't want to be isolated. I was no different.
And you spoke of a moment that changed everything. Your phrase.
Yes.
A moment in which you were almost shot.
Yes. I was about 21 years old, living in North London. A moped that I'd built from scratch with my younger brother was stolen. I was frustrated to the point where I said, nope, I'm not having this anymore. Enough is enough. And I marched onto an estate to recover my stolen moped. And one of the guys who'd stolen it pulled a gun out on me. He was about 3 or 4 meters away when he pulled the trigger, and he cocked the gun back and he pulled the trigger a second time. That the gun misfired twice.
And you're sure he meant to shoot you?
From that distance, the gun was clearly aimed at me. The trigger was pulled once, and the fact that he cocked it back showed his determination.
And you'd already survived being stabbed?
I'd already been stabbed. Again, I've never carried a weapon or even a thought in malice, in fairness.
So when you say that moment changed everything, what went through your mind?
For me, the main thing was my younger brother was with me. And his life was potentially in danger. And I think sometimes when you have someone that you value as much, if not more than yourself, and you can mitigate that risk. And for me, the way to do that was by changing behavior on local or societal level. And I thought, right, I'm going to do something that gives me a platform where I can raise my voice and say, hey, there are other ways that we can conduct ourselves.
And you, as we heard, are inspired by individual moments of kindness. That,
yes,
in your piece about homelessness, the train driver. Remind me what he said.
Kindness is something that's free. I would love for all of us to just hand out kind, positive words every now and then. I was homeless and I'd spent the night sleeping on a train. And this was the last night I was homeless. And I was in a depot and the driver came. And I was in a depot and the driver came on the train and he said, "Did you sleep there?" And I said, yes. After a few words backwards and forwards, he looked at me and said, "Do you see this ring?" And he said, "It's a beautiful ring, isn't it?" And I nodded yes again. And he said, for it to be a beautiful ring, it had to be burnt and battered and bent into shape. Maybe. So I would just like to say, if anyone is going through anything tough, this Christmas in particular, but generally, maybe it's preparing you for something stronger. Don't go through it alone. Speak to somebody. It does get better.
And you're also, I think, saying to people listening, Can you show that moment of kindness like the
Yes.
train driver? It's like the
Yes.
train driver. Because you will know there are plenty of people who think, I don't want to get involved.
Yes. People who are homeless, and this is from my experience, they just want to be seen. Say hello, say a few words, offer a couple of words of kindness, and oftentimes that will help them get through the day.
And in a sense, is that what inspires you as Chief Scout? To young people, volunteer, do something for other people, because actually it will help you as well as helping them.
Well, one of the most amazing things about volunteering is it has so many far-reaching benefits. It benefits the volunteer. You learn skills. You build your confidence. You help other people. It's great for the community. The person who's receiving the volunteering, whether it's the young people within the Scout movement, they learn to be stronger, more confident. They build friendships. They develop their skills. So it benefits everyone.
And I know in the Scouts you've got an ask, as they sometimes call it, of the government.
Yes.
You want them to help you make it easier for people to be volunteers, whether for the Scouts or another voluntary body. What do you want?
We want organisations to give their employees 35 hours annually that they can dedicate to volunteering. We think it will make a huge difference. People who volunteer tend to be happier. People who are happier tend to work more productively. So it's good.
You're saying hours, not days.
Oh,
Why
absolutely.
is that distinction important?
We want to make it very clear that just a small amount, a couple of hours a week, 35 hours a year works out to less than an hour a week.
So many people listening will have their own memories of the Scouts when they were in it, or indeed their memories of the Scouts when they were in it, or indeed their kids or their grandkids. And they believe in the values, but you'll be well aware there are some who say, and I put the word in inverted commas, scouting's gone woke. Scouting's too keen to fit in with the ideology of the Scouting movement. Talks about people using their preferred pronouns, that this is, and I'm reading a post here, gender ideology being pushed onto young people. What would you say to them?
Scouting is for everyone. And if you're coming there with a mindset to learn, to make friends, and to build yours and the confidence of those around you, then there's a place in Scouting for you. Scouting reflects society. And if there is somebody, a young person who says, do you know, I don't know if I am comfortable calling myself a boy or a girl, what does it matter? We're there for the same reason. We're there to have fun, make friends, learn, and develop skills and develop confidence.
People will be comfortable with that, but they might think, I don't want the Scout leader to tell my child that they ought to use she, her, or they, them. That is imposing a kind of value set rather than merely being tolerant.
I just want to put everyone's mind at ease. I've been in the Scouting movement now as a volunteer. I've done all the tiers have done. I've been an ambassador now for going on 8 years, and I'm in the role of Chief Scout now as well. I've never heard of any volunteer telling a young person that they are a they, them, or anything else. If a young person comes in and says, I would prefer to be called X, Y, or Z, then that's what we do. Because there is no need in creating the harm of trying to dissuade them. The same way a parent wouldn't want us to convince them of something, we don't want to dissuade them of anything that's not harmful.
So there's quite an influential right-wing blogger, a guy called Matt Goodwin. There's a headline on the piece I'm reading, How Scouting Went Woke.
I still don't know.
It's not. Is he wrong? Is he wrong?
I would, first of all, just tell me what you think woke is in this instance. I don't know what woke is. I don't know what it means. I don't subscribe to it. I just know that I treat people, and the other volunteers and leaders treat people with respect when they walk through our doors. Expect to have fun, build friendships, lifelong friends. In the world, I met in Scouts when I was 6 years old, going on 7. And he's still one of my best friends to this day.
Did Scouting save you?
Scouting saved me. I would not have had the confidence to say no to all those voices that were telling me you should go and get the guy that pulled the gun on you. If I hadn't been to Scouts, I've spoken to people up and down this country, thousands of young people, and I've heard lots and lots of stories of how Scouting has saved and impacted and improved their lives.
You picked a song to end this.
Yes, I have.
Today, guest edit.
Yes.
Another Day in Paradise. People know the Phil Collins version,
Yes.
probably. Why that song? What does it mean?
I found it really easy to feel unseen. It speaks to people walking past you because you're in a situation that you wouldn't necessarily choose. It's not a great place to be. And I think that song speaks to that.
Dwayne Fields, Chief Scout, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been an honour.
It's been an honour for us. It's been absolutely fascinating to hear.
It's been an honour.
It's been an honour for us. It's been absolutely fascinating to hear from Dwayne Fields, and particularly because he was saying, as we heard at 8:10 in that conversation with Andy Haldane, the former chief economist at the Bank of England, that volunteering is not just good for us, good for our souls, if you like, but arguing that it was good for worrying away about growth at the moment, that there was some value in placing a value, a price on volunteering in order that it's not just measured, but it is valued and encouraged and sponsored by government and business.
It just strikes me, listening to you throughout the course of the programme, people who have suffered from things, people who have suffered from things and then deal with them and help others deal with them are often pretty steely spined. I mean, he sounds like a very nice, I didn't get the pleasure of meeting him that you did. He sounds like a very nice guy and a very approachable guy, but also someone who's pretty certain about what he thinks about things.
At the end of that interview, it was very sweet of him to do it after the microphones had been turned. He turned to me and he said, "Well, you'll do it, won't you?" I said, "Well, do what? We've just done the interview. Volunteer." And before I could go, he's put a number on it. 4 hours, he said. Put his hand out. I've shaken my hands with him. I've no idea quite what I've agreed to do, but 4 hours is nothing, of course. But whether I'm volunteering to help with the Scouts or my memories, Justin, of being a cub when I did Bob a job.
That's another advantage you have.
You didn't do it.
Didn't do that, no. No wonder the man in Antarctica called me Nick during our interview, because you are a famous, Britain's most famous cub. Why, though, did you not get onto the Scouts?
Yeah.
Famous cub. Why, though, did you not get onto the Scouts?
Yes, it's a good question. I can't remember why I didn't graduate, but I did. Perhaps it was my poor car washing ability, because largely bits of gardening I remember doing clearing leaves for people, but bad washing of cars. Remember, you got just a bob, a shilling, for those of you too young to remember exactly what a bob is. And they eventually abolished that scheme because it was seen as a potentially exploitative.
And actually, that was another really nice part of the whole thing much earlier on in the programme. People may not have heard it right at the end, but the intergenerational side of it all, young people, the elderly, and both sides getting a lot out of it. Now, here is